another running back in the North called Josh Jacobs. He replaces Aaron Jones there with the Green Bay Packers. So, Chris, you talked about Jordan Love and, what he was first half, second half, a lot of that maybe having to do with the play action passing and maybe a lot of it having to do with Aaron Jones. What do you see with Josh Jacobs and his value at this season? You got him at 13.
Yeah, I think he's just outside that RB1 territory. Josh Jacobs is a guy expected to get decent amount of value. They paid him good money, so you expect to kind of follow the money. But then you also look at Green Bay, and then when you factor in that situation, this is a team that's rotating like 10 receivers deep. Why will they do the same thing at running back? They brought back AJ Dillon. They drafted Lloyd in the 3rd round, and then you put those things with the Jacobs, a guy who historically gets injured, a guy who was just terrible. I'm sorry. I don't know how to sugarcoat what Josh Jacobs was last year. It was terrible. 3.5 yards per carry. And a guy who historically has to get tons of volume to be good and fantasy relevant and one of the top guys. So I think I'm being a little generous with that, but I think Josh Jacobs is a guy who can, in this offense, be a guy who can replicate some things Aaron Jones did, a guy who can catch the ball out of the backfield, a guy who can score you touchdowns at the red zone. Is going to be hopefully more efficient for Chase's sake than AJ Dillon was in the running game last year. So you put those things together, there is some upside, but I think there's a lot of caveats and potholes that can kind of pop up on you. So I'm not really confidently jumping on Josh Jacobs myself.
Well, Matt, I'd love to get your opinion on this. I do have him cracking my top 12. I have him right there at 11. A couple of reasons. One, they paid him a significant contract. So I don't know if I subscribe to the same idea they're necessarily going to put these guys in a committee the way they did with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. I don't think A.J. Dillon will be part of the committee. Who knows? He might even be paying fullback. We have no idea going into this season. But I don't think he'll be in the same committee as with Marshawn Lloyd. And last year, yeah, it was awful last year. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But where he's also only 1 year removed from having his best season ever in 2022, and the biggest difference was motivation. He came in last year with the fat suit. I don't think anybody would disagree. This was not a motivated Josh Jacobs. It was not an in-shape Josh Jacobs, especially compared to what we had seen the year before when he was an elite running back. I kind of chalk it up more so to a lack of motivation, and now having it because of the contract and on a team that's going to score points and be in red zone territory. And we've seen Josh Jacobs be a 3-down bell cow back in the past. So I do have him cracking my top 12. I do share some of Chris' concerns, so I'd love to get your opinion on that.
I share a lot of Chris's concerns here. I mean, I'm probably a scored lover being a Raiders fan, so I may be a little bit biased here. And I would probably buy into the whole thing about Josh Jacobs is bad offense in Las Vegas. This is the same offense that Zamir White absolutely crushed it in. Let's not forget that. It's not like this offense changed after Josh Jacobs. The offensive line did not change. The quarterback did not change. The only thing that changed was there's actually production out of the running back room going from Zamir White to Josh Jacobs. Now, maybe we get the Josh Jacobs revenge tour because I've already heard him talk in the offseason. He sounds a little petty like me, so I can respect his game there a little bit. He sounds like a scored lover. I mean, everything was the Raiders' fault and the contract. I get it. I get it. Hey, money talks, players walk. That's how it rolls nowadays. But you look at this. Last season, explosive run rate dipped to 3.9%, 48th out of 49 running backs. That's the second worst. His yards per carry, 44th. You mentioned that 3.5 yards, 44th out of 49 running backs. Again, not good. Yards after contact per carry, 46th, 2.4 per attempt. His forced missed tackle rate, 0.12, 43rd. Not one of these metrics screams success. And every single one of those metrics, Zamir White absolutely crushed. So maybe it was, I don't give a damn. I know the Raiders aren't going to sign me. I'm just going to run out this year. I'm going to stay healthy. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe the injury he suffered was more of a butt hurt type situation there where his feelings were a little bit sore and he didn't want to risk a major injury before going into free agency. That's a possibility. But these numbers are not good. I mean, so for me, again, I got him as RB15, which it really feels like that range is higher than normal for Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is a guy that we've always put in that 18 to 22 range and then been surprised every year when he finishes in that RB12 range. Every year we seem to be lower on Josh Jacobs. Here it feels that we're all pretty much in that same 10 to 15 range, which I think is reasonable in the range of outcomes for him next season.